Have you seen what Pika can do lately? Changing products on the fly like this. The quality of their visuals really have come a long way since it was, yes, actually a year ago on this channel that we did our first video here on Pika. And with all of the upgrades here, I think it's time that we dive in and we look at something more. If you stick around this video, what is it that you can expect to see? Well, in addition to learning all about Pika, the text-to-video AI generation tool, you'll also see it used basically in this example. So we have a UI set up where we can generate different videos. Basically, based on a prompt, we generate the video, and then it shows up in here. Then we can order these, however we would want, and stitch them together using a API like over at Creatomate. So as you can see, as we get started, it's basically the bare bones of what would be a larger suite of capabilities that could be built into an app like this, but some pretty powerful stuff, really. So where we're headed from here is we're going to dive into the Pika setup, then we're going to dive into the video stitcher setup. Now we already have the UI built for us, so let's just go straight over to this Pika art. Now, our Pika Art unofficial API. Pika.art is the tool itself, and then if you look for the link in the description to the unofficial API for Pika, you'll find it there, and it is a paid service. A lot of these APIs, that's just kind of how it works. Once you get set up with the API, you'll see something like the screen here, and on the bottom right, you can go and you can purchase credits. I think the starter pack is about $10, and that'll get you going so that you can head over to next the documentation, where we'll click on top left here, web, make an API request, and then on this Postman collection, because what this does is just a API setup that we can basically bring over into our setup over in Bubble. So to do that, I'm going to head over here where I'm going to go over to the plugins, the API connector, add an API. We're going to call it Pika, and we're going to, let's see, we're going to be using a webhook. So we are going to be using the paid version of Bubble, to just mention that quick. So generate video. As we get started setting up this API call, it's going to be a post. It's going to be to this API for generate. And then in the header, we're going to have it say authorization and bearer space, where we are going to go and get our token. With that in, I'll grab the body of this call and I'll just copy that and then paste it over into the setup. Now there's two things that I think are pretty valuable to have. One is a thing called ref, and what that does, just follow the syntax on the screen here. It allows us to track something that we send out to the system, and then when it sends it back, then we have that. And we'll just go back to the documentation here quick. We'll look, and I want to see what exactly. There it is, webhook override. So you can see all of the options for, we've got Pika swap, lip sync. All of these types of things are in here. What you're going to see in this video, obviously, is just this basic call setup. So we have a webhook override, and that's going to let us send the response to a specific webhook address, which is going to be nice for us to have. And then here, we'll also want to make sure that we grab this prompt here. The webhook doesn't need to be private. Everything else, this is going to change, and this is going to change. So we want to make those variables, and by leaving them unchecked as private, that'll do it. The values to give here, just enter any old unique ID just to get things started. That's probably fine. Then open up another tab and head to the back end where you create a new API workflow, and we'll just call it the Pika receiver, and it's going to be detect data. So we'll grab this URL, and on our first go, we'll leave the initialize on there, and then we'll change it, and we'll just say a bunny hopping on green grass. We'll initialize that. You can see that's going to go off. And then over here on this, we'll just wait for it to do its thing. It's going to come back and initialize this screen. Okay, and there we can see that it's sent all this back to us. So let's look for the stuff that we actually want in here. You know, I find it a little bit easier to just look through here for URL. Okay, so we have result URL. That's giving us an MP4. And then we also have an image thumb. We just want to make sure that that is a thumbnail, or sorry, an image rather. So if we look for thumb here, boom, we can see that we want to change that. And then the results URL, I guess that's fine to leave as a text, but it's mostly that we want to make sure, because we're going to use that image and save it to our Bubble database. Okay, we are kind of halfway through, so we've set up the API call successfully, and we're basically at the start of the workflow part for this Pika setup now, right? So what have we done? Well, we haven't integrated that API call into our UI here, so let's do that now. So here on Add Video, on this Generate Video button, that's where I want to go, and I want to make the stuff that I just made available here. So this prompt, so that somebody can type in their own prompt, and then this reference thing. Let's go and let's look at this. So this pop-up, this button here. On here, let's see, we're going to create this item here, and we actually want the ID of this item. So right after that one, I'm going to insert, and again, I'm putting this into an existing user interface on an existing template actually. So if anyone is interested in this part of it, there is a free project management template that allows this drag and drop interface if you want to play with that. Of course, check the description in the video for a link to the SaaS AI course, where you'll be able to check out the full build of this, and basically the behind the scenes that let you get everything set up beyond what's available here. But so what we're going to do is we're going to look for our Pika API call that we just made. And okay, now we're just going to say bunny hopping on the desert. And here, actually, no. We do want the unique ID here, but I said no here. We actually want to take the input, the prompt for that value, and then we'll go back over here, and we have done part of our workflows. When this comes back, so if we were to go here and type this this prompt in and generate this video, when it comes back, we actually want it to tie it to the thing that gets created. Okay, so let's go do that now. Here in the back end, this is the thing that comes back, and we want to go and make a change to, in this case, what we'll do a search for. And in your world, we're not getting into the data setup here, but basically you'll create a data type, and on that data type, you'll store stuff about the generation. In fact, go and look at the original video, Pika video on the channel, if you want to get some extra insight into this exact part for the data setup itself. But essentially, what's happening is that we want to identify, before we get to this field here, we want to identify from this request source that extra thing. So I'll just tie that back to this API connection here for this this ref here, this ref that we passed it to it. When it comes back with that same ID, and we use that ID to determine which thing we're dealing with. So now once we've done that, we'll go here, we'll go down to videos. We'll take the first item because it's a list of one in this particular case, and we'll look for thumb. Okay, so there's our image, and then we'll do here on the video URL. We'll actually just grab this and paste it over here. And then instead of the thumb, we're looking for a URL, the result URL, in fact. Okay, cool. So that's got that set up, but there's one more thing we got to do before we are done with all of these workflows here, and that is for this API call. We really didn't want to send it through again until we had that thing set up, because now we actually have something to receive it, but we do want to take this off, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to change out this. So this unique ID here from this cat one, I'm going to change it out. And we'll see this get put in here. We'll see a bunny hopping on green grass. We'll reinitialize this. It's going to go back to this. It's going to use this ID here to look up our thing. Now, it's not going to store, it stores the prompt before it goes out. It doesn't store it when it comes back. But we'll see here in just a moment that actually over here on our front end, this cat is going to be changed out to a bunny. Okay, and so we can see that it's come back, and here's the actual video. So there's a bunny. Cool. That takes us through this whole part for the Pika setup, and it's not too different than, again, what is over in the original look for Pika on the channel, something from about a year ago. And now we're going to take this to the next level as we dive into this Creatomate. So hit the get started button. And that'll take you through the normal, typical kind of login process. And once you've signed up, you'll basically make it here. And the way to get started is head to the Setup API, and you have this awesome tutorial that leads you basically through every step. So we're going to keep clicking around. I'm going to go with start from scratch for my template. These will be reels maybe, so I'll go 9x16. I'll say use this template, API integration, copy this to my clipboard, and now I'm off and running. So over here in this API area, I'm going to add a new API, and I'll just save, I'll call it Video Stitcher. And for the call itself, I'll import. And that gives me a running head start. Run it as an action. Got too many eyes in there. Okay, everything else good to go. We'll go ahead and hit initialize call here, because what that's going to do is over in the system, we can see, boom, it's saying that this the status has successfully succeeded. And then now what we're going to do is we're actually going to customize this call with information that's going to send to all three of the videos that are there. So this will be made available for copy and paste for anyone who wants it. But we can see here that we have curly brackets, we have our source, and then we have another open curly brackets, and then this is where everything is brought in. So there's actually two kind of surrounding ones. But then we're going to grab from the straight brackets, the 90 degree, and we're going to say elements. And then we're going to enter this in here like this. And then I'm going to go into my database and grab these URLs. And okay, so thing one, thing two, thing three, I'll just grab these URLs. Okay, and with those three URLs entered into here, now what I can do is I'll just reinitialize this call. It's going to show up on this URL. It's actually a pretty quick API, so we can see here all of those. There's 1, 2, and 3 put together. Okay, so that's cool. So now that proves out that we've got all of our APIs working. And our last step really is just to show that if we change out the order of these, that when we hit the compose button, that the order of it changes. So it's basically we're allowing users the capabilities to, manipulate a user interface to get the setup that they want and then compose to make one final cut. So let's do that now. Let's talk game plan for this workflow. Okay, so this is the button that is here. And when this button is hit, what's going to happen? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 scenes in this case. You could add more. But if we look at the original template itself, one of the things that it does is actually, in its data here, the way that its repeating group is set up, that you can just pull this straight from here, is that it's going to be filtered, pre-filtered already, and it's all of the projects, in this case tasks, but I've renamed those to videos. there's a list here, there's a list here, there's a list here, right? Because this scene could be multiple parts. Is we're allowing this to go. So here's 2, 1, and 3, and if I hit compose here, 2, 1, and 3 for the order of things. So we allow people to extend things from top to bottom as well as left to right in this particular user interface. There's a lot of different user interfaces you could make. This is just the one that is set up here. Okay, so all that being said, let's look one more time here at 2, 1, 3. 2, 1, 3. So what's happening there? When this button is being clicked, we are setting a simple custom state. So what we're doing is we are using a custom state that gathers all the stuff in this column. Then we do all the stuff in this column. We do one that gathers all the stuff in this column, and then one that gathers all the stuff in this one, which happens to be nothing in this case. But so once we've done that, in each of these, these are really manual workflows that we run this notifier. But let's go and let's set up one final one. So we'll set a state, and we'll create the final video list. And that will be a list of videos. And it will simply be whatever this star thing is. Scene 1 merged with star scene 2, and finally star scene 4. Okay, so all of these get merged together into a final list. That means what we've got is that we can call our API, so the stitcher here, and we need to do a little bit of formatting. We need to get it into this special form. First, we're going to put this into an arbitrary text, so just we can see the whole thing, and that's going to help us. But then this URL, for anyone wanting to know how to do this as more dynamically than this, check the description of this video for the full AI SaaS course. So here, what we're going to do is we're just going to get this final video list, and it's going to be the first item. Then, first item's video URL, rather. We'll say item 1. Then we'll go here. We'll look for this one. Okay, so I realize this is a limited setup, but the goal of this is just to show off the enough functionality that you know that you can take the ball from here and run with it. So the thing that we're wanting to have happen here is, before we had 1, 2, 3. Let's start bunny, and then 3, 1, 2. So we'll do that. So we'll go ahead and we'll actually show the final video here in this pop-up here. So this is pop-up final video. So we just want to make sure that we add that here now so this thing will go. We'll show an element. The thing we'll show is this pop-up video final. And then the other thing is that we will set a state. And we'll just give this a pause. We'll say 5 seconds. Again, this is not production ready. This is test and feasibility in terms of putting all these pauses here. These would obviously be made into optimized and efficient workflows that occur when things are actually happening. But for now, this is fine. We'll go here and we'll go final video URL, and we'll take the result of step 11. First items URL. So it won't have anything for 5 seconds, and then it will. Oh, and it is time for the big reveal, so we're going to go ahead and delete off these. Actually, we'll leave thing 2. We'll get rid of the bunny. And we'll get rid of thing 1. And we'll go ahead and now we'll actually use this as well. So we'll add a new thing 1 here. That's the point. So let's just say we'll still go with the minions, but writing a house. And we'll send that one off. We'll see that one come back, and then we'll get another one going here, and this will be thing 3, and we'll say a giant bunny on a hill. And then we'll get that going as well. So basically what I've done is I like it so that it runs this loading symbol as an image until the other image comes back. And that was just to remind ourselves of the workflows here on this receiver. Oh, and by the way, make sure that as a final check that you run this, allow it to be run without authentication so that it can come back from the system and actually make the changes here. Otherwise, important point, it won't work. Okay, so those are going out. We've sent off the unique ID with each of them, and they are coming back. Here we are shortly. Okay, so we can see, boom, there is our first thing. It's not exactly riding a horse, and then a giant bunny amongst other giant bunnies. Interesting. The last thing I do want to point out actually on here, though, is if we look back at the documentation, I do want to point out that I set up under generate here, I set up version 1. This is not that great of a tool, actually. There's 1.5, there's 2.0, I think there's 2.2 is the latest now. So just so you know that as you're viewing this, anyone that's made it this far, obviously, you're committed to see it all the way through the end. But we're going to go here, we're going to go 1, 3, 2. So we should see minions, bunny, and drone now that we hit this compose button with those same workflows that we did. Okay, and this is holding the there it is. Okay, minions, bunny. It was holding the thing, the URL from before. But here we can see this new one for the minions, the bunny, and the other one here from this drone. So we can see that if we drag things around, we get them in the correct order, we stitch them together into one longer video, which basically is, the early stages of a larger tool that gives someone huge capabilities to be able to do so much using a tool like Pika. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more tips about Bubble. If you want the full reveal on the full build of doing this actual course, check out the SaaS AI course in the description. Maybe on pre-sale, or if not, just depending on the timing of seeing this, it will be available shortly. And again, I'll see you in the next one.